The last letter. The attic was quiet, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears and makes your heart beat louder. Emma stood in the doorway, her fingers trailing along the wooden frame. She hadn't been up there in years, not since the funeral. Her father, John, had always been the one to venture into the attic. It was his domain, a treasure trove of forgotten memories and hidden keepsakes. Emma remembered how he used to come down with something in hand, a photo album, an old trophy, or a silly hat he'd insist she try on. The attic, he would say, is where the past comes alive. But since his death 10 years ago, Emma had avoided the space. It felt too heavy, too full of him. Today, though, something pulled her up the creaky wooden stairs. Maybe it was the growing ache of missing him or the need to feel close to him again. Whatever it was, she found herself standing there, staring at the rows of dusty boxes, sunlight filtering in through the small window. She began sifting through the piles. Old family photos, books with yellowed pages, a baseball mitt he used to teach her how to throw. Each item brought a wave of nostalgia, but then she saw it, a plain shoebox tucked in the corner, almost hidden beneath a pile of newspapers. Curious, Emma pulled it out and sat cross-legged on the floor. The box was light, its lid slightly warped. When she opened it, her breath caught. Inside were fragments of her childhood, ticket stubs from movies they'd seen together, a tiny seashell she'd given him from a trip to the beach, and a small envelope with her name written across the front. Her name. Her fingers trembled as she picked up the envelope. The handwriting was unmistakable, her father's. Bold and steady, just as she remembered. For a moment, she couldn't move. She held the envelope close, her heart pounding. Why had she never seen this before? Finally, she broke the seal and unfolded the letter inside. The scent of old paper filled the air. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer there with you. First, I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for every moment I've missed, for every time you've needed me and I couldn't be there. But I hope this letter finds you in a moment when you need it most. Life is unpredictable, my sweet girl, and I wish I could shield you from every pain, every heartbreak. But since I can't, I want to leave you with a few words I hope you'll carry with you. First, remember that it's okay to cry. Tears don't make you weak. They're a sign that you loved deeply and felt deeply. Never be ashamed of your emotions, they're what make you human. Second, don't be afraid to chase your dreams, even if they seem impossible. I've watched you grow into a brave, intelligent young woman, and I know there's nothing you can't achieve if you put your heart into it. Lastly, know that I am proud of you. No matter where life takes you, no matter how many mistakes you think you've made, you will always be my shining star. I may not be there to walk you down the aisle one day, or to hold your firstborn child, but I'll be watching. I'll be there in every sunset, every breeze, and every moment you feel a quiet strength within you. I love you, Emma. Always and forever. Love. Dad. Emma's tears fell onto the letter as she read. She clutched it to her chest, her sobs breaking the silence of the attic. For years, she had carried the ache of his absence, the unspoken words, the moments he'd missed. But now, it was as if he had reached out to her, bridging the gap of time and space to remind her she wasn't alone. She sat there for hours, reading and rereading the letter. Every word felt like a hug, a whisper of comfort in her darkest moments. That night, she framed the letter and placed it on her nightstand. It became her guiding light, a reminder of her father's unwavering love and belief in her. As the days turned into weeks, Emma found herself living differently. She took chances she would have been too afraid to take before. She laughed harder, loved deeper, and cried without shame. Whenever she felt overwhelmed, she would read the letter again, hearing her father's voice in every word. Years later, as Emma stood at her wedding, she glanced at the framed letter sitting on a small table near the altar. Her father couldn't walk her down the aisle, but his words, his love, were with her every step of the way. And when her first child was born, Emma held her baby close and whispered, "You had a grandfather who loved you very much. One day, I'll tell you all about him." Her father's love had transcended time and space, shaping her into the woman she had become. And in her heart, he would always remain, guiding her, loving her, and reminding her that she was his shining star.